Wow. What's up, everybody? Hey, day 3, I think. Been here all week at the International Sportsman Show. So I had a co-angler named Jeff Matlock who called me. And he asked me like 5 or 6 amazing questions about co-anglers. And, and I went to Mark and I said, hey, this guy's signing up first time as a co-angler. And he had these amazing questions that I think all co-anglers would have, okay? So I went to Mark and I said, hey, I think it'd be really good for us to pull a couple of prominent co-anglers, okay? So what I did at the show is I got Deanna Moreno here to my left, MLF champion, made more top 10s than I can count, is gonna give us her perspective about co-anglers. She's probably fished easily over 100 tournaments with 100 different pros throughout her career. Then I have Kirk Marshall, also a champion. He won at Clear Lake. He's also got a plethora of top 10s. He's fished with a couple hundred probably pros. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna ask him questions from a co-angler's perspective. We always hear about pros. We really wanna hear about from co-angler's perspective, okay? So I wrote some questions down. And the first question that I have for Kurt is, as a co-angler, when you enter a tournament, how do you approach, like Shasta's coming up, for instance. What do you decide to pack as a co-angler, and what do you decide to not pack as a co-angler?
Well, going into any tournament, you try to, as a co-angler, you try to have a variety of everything, because we don't know as co-anglers where our pros are going, what they're doing. Are we going deep? Are we going shallow? Are we going fast? Are we going to go slow? So I tend to pack one of everything or for the gamut, and then try to work it there after you get a chance to talk to your pro, find out what's going on. I like to go up a couple days earlier, practice, just try to get an idea of what's going on at the lake at the time, because that depends what time of year you're there. And then just based on what I get from practice, what colors are working, what presentations I found have worked, because it doesn't always gel with what my pro wants to do. So you gotta go in with just about everything, what to pack. So I bring everything, and then I dwindle it down there from what I practice, and then talking with the pro the night before when you hook up with your pro to find out, are we going deep? Are we going shallow? What's your ideas? And then I kind of dwindle it down to there for the final day to pack for the day.
Okay, so you focus more on the fishing. Deanna, with like just equipment, maybe not specific to the fishing, because I understand what Kurt's saying is depending on what you fish, you kind of want to know what to pack, right?
Yeah.
But in your experiences, what do you like? What are like 3 or 4 things you have to bring because you either can't count on your pro to bring them, or what have you found 3 or 4 things that you have learned over the years that you now bring?
So I always pack for my strengths, like drop shot, just your basic baits, your Senkos and stuff. My bag is very organized. Everything's labeled. And you kind of have to bring everything from the pliers to your scale. I had a pro, his scale broke, so we were sharing my scale. So,
Okay.
Always make sure your scale has extra batteries, pliers, scissors, make sure they're handy. I'm trying to think what else. The balance beam, make sure you bring one of those just in case your pro forgets that. I'm trying to think what else.
Okay. Those are all
gear,
good.
I really like my Plano bag that I have. I can kind of fit everything in there, but just make sure everything's handy, cleaned up. Make sure you pick up after yourself. I'm trying to think what else.
Okay. So what one thing, Kurt, would you say equipment-wise, right? Whether it's outdoor gear or like Deanna mentioned, I find it hard to believe that pros don't have a pair of pliers in their boat. But when I talked to her, she said, well, I fished with a pro before where, they didn't have a pair of pliers. I used to carry one pair of pliers, and I remember my co dropped that pair of pliers over the side of my boat. And I only used to carry one pair. Now, because of that, me personally as a pro, I carry 3 pair, and I actually have one as a backup.
Yeah, and stay alive. Don't forget, stay alive.
For your fish.
Have that. Yep, just in case. And weights.
Weights for?
To weigh down the fish just in case you fish them deep. Yep.
Okay, so Deanna's into fish care and things like that. So Kurt, like anything unusual you would say that a co should bring?
Well, I don't know if it's unusual, but for me, the line clippers, I'm always looking for my bag. And as a co-angler, especially me, I like to fish with a leader. So for me, fishing braid with a leader, because I like to do the finesse a lot, I have to have those clippers, and they got to be around here somewhere. Otherwise, you're digging your bag for them all the time. So I wear them around in my necklace. I put around a lanyard, and I have my little clippers with the extended cord on it. That usually helps a lot. And there's little things like Deanna mentioned on the, fish care is got to be number one. As a co-angler, we can't always rely on a pro to get everything right with the fish care. So yeah, I always bring some Rejuvenate or the fish weights on the bottom.
Okay, so
and a culling system, and the needle, fizzing needle.
Oh, okay.
Not all pros know how to do that. They don't do that. So, and you open up the cabinet and there's your fish upside down, and kind of you're on your own. Pros do help you. They're there to help you. They do a great job. Probably 90% of the pros that are there, they'll help you, but there's that 10-15% that they just don't do it, and that's just not the way they do it.
Okay, so I learned something both of you talked about fizzing needles, you talked about belly weights to keep fish upright that you catch deep, and then Kurt, you actually will tether like some clippers to your person. Okay, Deanna, do you carry clippers and stuff on you like that?
No, because I'm afraid I'm going to get caught up in it when I catch my fish. So no, I don't. And I'm worried that I'm going to scratch their feet. I really make sure you take care of the boats. These boats are expensive, and you just make sure you're, being very etiquette about the boat and the pros, equipment and the stuff. But make sure your area is clean, picked up, because when you're reaching for that net, the pro is going to come back and try and get your fish, but then they're going to trip over your bag or something that's laying there. So make sure the net's ready, everything's cleared where you have a running path to go back and forth.
Okay.
So, and then as for equipment, just make sure you're wearing, I wear layer. As for a girl, I get cold, so I layer up, make sure, you dress appropriately.
Yeah, like you layer so that way you can take something off but still have something on, and you're not, and then you guys have a smaller storage compartment, so it's hard to put all that heavy gear in there.
So I try to keep it all in a backpack, and I shove it in the back, and I like my bag. I know you don't like the bags in the front, but I love to have my bag. I just make sure it's out of the way. I tuck the handle underneath so you don't get your foot caught in. And then just make sure, when the boater's ready to go, just tell them, can you give me a couple minutes so I can get ready.
Okay.
But I always make sure, my husband's taught me, make sure you're ready to go. The pro doesn't want to wait on you. Make sure he's not waiting on you. That'll make your pro very upset if he's waiting on you. So I'm usually in my seat, everything's ready to go, tied down. Your life jacket, that is the first thing that when you're sitting in that seat you should put on. The rest of it you can kind of get ready, but that they can't start the motor until your life jacket's on and buckled. So.
Right. Okay, so next thing is Jeff had asked me, gas money, right? Where do you start as a guideline? Does that guideline go up or down? What affects, it's not a tip, so what affects how you approach and what do you bring for gas money, Kurt?
Well, it does kind of depend on where you are. I fished back east in Alabama, where gas is $2 a gallon, and I've also fished here in the Bay Area. I'm from the Bay Area, where it's $5 a gallon. So, based on that, me personally up here, the first thing I do is I hand my pro $70. And I have that's flat out. That's first thing in the morning. Okay. And a lot of people wait because there's times, and I'm just going to be honest with you, there's times that we've run all the way to other sides of the lake and back 3-4 times, and there's other times that we went right around the corner and they only spent $10 in gas.
Right.
But to me, it's a lot, mostly about the experience. It's about the relationship with the pro. It's about paying your dues, paying your fees for being here on a guided trip today. He's taking you to his favorite spots, his or her favorite spots. And I add a caveat on there. And this is
your up or down.
this is my up or down, you know. I mentioned that if I get in the top 10, I'm going to double my tip. And I say that because you have this love-hate relationship with your pros. You can love them, right, Deanna? You can love them and you can hate them. And depending on whether they allow you or, some pros I've been with don't give a back seat to much for anything. And there's some that'll turn the boat and say, here, you cast there, I'll cast here. We're going to get them today,
Right.
And for me personally, that extra, I'll double it if I get in the top 10. Okay. It may be a little incentive for the pro to say, hey, you know what? He's a good guy. He's paying his dues.
Right.
You know what? And I don't know. I don't expect it.
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is, and that's just me. That's mine.
Okay, so Kurt starts off first thing in the morning. He's handing me $70. I'm leaving him on the dock. All right, so let's hear what they have two different perspectives. So let's hear what Deanna has to say about that.
So always pay your pro. I mean, it's a guided trip basically. But my husband fishes. We fish all week. They put in the time. They put in the gas money. They put in oil. There's a lot of expense that goes into pre-fishing. Excuse me. So I usually, at the end of the day, that's when I pay. I don't pay him first thing in the morning. But
where do you start though? Where's your guideline?
It all depends. It does depend on where, if you're in Alabama or, California, and times have changed, especially with the gas prices here in California. So I usually start out around 50 is what I start out. If I'm having I wouldn't say not just catching fish, but the pros allowing me to catch fish, because sometimes if you're fishing the Delta, they could really get you right up to that bank, and you're basically don't have a spot to throw because it's deeper water, it's a channel. So, but normally it's 50, sometimes 70. Day one on the Delta, Christian just really took care of me, and I had anywhere I could throw. So yeah, I did give a little bit more to Christian.
That's Melton, right?
Yeah,
Melton.
Yeah, he's such.
That's when she won the MLF.
But normally it's about 50 to 70. Just depends on where we're at, right in there. But always pay your pro. It's sportsmanship. It's courtesy to the pro. Never walk away. I've had a couple bad days, and you always pay them. It's your name on the line. You don't want to be talked at the dock saying, "Oh, that co-angler didn't
I got
pay."
stiffed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always pay.
Okay, so let's do some more boat logistics stuff. For instance, when I have my conversation with my co-angler before the event, I fished with both of you before. I tell you, hey, there's certain ways that I want things, and then I remember telling you both, hey, I'll have plenty of ice, plenty of water in the ice chest for you to drink. If you want something else to eat or drink, bring it, right? So as you're out there, it's a 10-hour day usually. So what do you always bring or don't bring as far as it pertains to like food and drink, and then how do you store that stuff?
So as a nurse, I usually hydrate the day before, so I usually don't drink or eat anything that whole day usually. But I've learned to do a protein bar just before weigh-in because it gives me the energy and I don't have the shakes afterwards. So usually a water, but I usually don't pack food.
Okay.
So
you're a no-eater.
I'm a no-eater, except for a protein bar and maybe in the afternoon. But just be courteous of the boat again. Since we do own a boat, don't bring a soda. Don't
bring something with a top on it.
Yes.
Please say that.
And just make sure, like when you're eating, make sure you're not getting the crumbs all over the boat, because grease or anything, it could stain their carpet in the back. So the pros really appreciate it if you're really watching their boat. But most of the time, they do allow you to put stuff in the ice chest. All the boaters they're really nice and friendly.
Kurt, how about you?
I went and I got one of those little ice bags that you put them in the freezer the night before, and I always bring a couple waters. I always bring like a half a sandwich, the little 5-hour energy just in case. You get going and you realize I haven't eaten anything all day, and there's days that's okay because the adrenaline and you're doing good and you're busy. There's some pretty boring days out there too where you really struggle. And you start falling asleep, and you gotta keep yourself going. So I bring enough to where I have it if I need it.
Okay.
There's days that it's 110 degrees out there. You got to bring extra waters. And as a co-angler, you can't. I don't know. For me, I can't always rely on the pro because what the pro thinks he brings, just like the co. What you think the co brought was adequate, it isn't. And you get there and you find out that they don't have any ice. So how do you keep your sandwich cold or whatever? So I always bring one of those little bags. It's a little ice bag. You get them at Walmart. They're cheap, and it keeps everything cold, and it sits in the corner. We talked earlier about what equipment to bring. And yeah. Different pros have different boats. I've been in some boats, and I'm sure you have too, Deanna, where the back compartment is about 12 inches by 12
bag.
Inches.
Stuff.
Oh, it's filled with their stuff, and you don't think about that, and then you're going, okay, where am I going to put my bag? So you gotta have to have equipment bag that brings enough for what you need, but isn't so overwhelming. And I know, Ken, you can only imagine, and I know a couple of co-anglers who bring a suitcase.
It's happened. I've had a person strap their bag. I've had a person strap their co-angler bag to my back seat post, sitting on top of the back deck. It was crazy. Okay, so let's go into demeanor, attitude, kind of mindset. Kurt, I'll start with you. If you had to name 3 things about your approach, your mindset, because both of you guys are champions, and we all know how hard it is to win one of these 3-day events, and I think it's even harder to win it from the back. I really do, okay? So if you had to share with somebody who's like either seasoned or whatever, what would you say that are like 3 main characteristics that you should practice, possess, or exhibit when you enter one of these tournaments?
Well, first of all, you're as a co-angler, you sign up as a co-angler, and you're going with a pro. And what constitutes a pro, professional?
Someone who pays an entry fee.
Someone who pays the entry fee. So everybody's different. When I go into it, number one, if I'm going with you for the day, I know Ken Ma, I know Ken's the champion, I know Ken's gonna take us places where there's fish. So a lot of that is a lesson for me. You're going out. I get a guided trip today with Ken Ma. My gosh, and it's gonna cost me $70 in gas and whatever, right? So I go at it just in the mindset of I'm going out with a pro, so I'm going to watch and learn. That's the first attitude.
So number one. Watch and learn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2, you really have to have an open mind. As I said, I can go to practice, and I can't tell you how many times I practiced, and I'm on them. I'm down there. This is what I'm doing. Oh, they're on there right up against the shore, and I got them, and I got the color, I got the crankbait, I got everything that's working right, and my pro takes me out. And that happened last year at the MLF Championship. I was in 13th place in the championship, and my pro on day 3, there we were, ready to go. He took me out in 157 feet of water. And there I was. He was chasing bait balls,
right.
And what are you supposed to do as a co? You learn, and you have an open mind. And I have a good friend who told me once, well, if you really get frustrated about going out with a pro, then check the box that says pro when you sign up.
Okay.
So it's really all about attitude.
I love that.
And the third one I would say is, as a co-angler, you don't want to mimic your pro. The pro's going down the bank, he's throwing or she's throwing a certain color, a certain presentation. Chances are, if you're throwing the same color, same presentation,
yes,
you're not going to get the fish. So throw something different, a presentation, until it works for you, whatever that happens to be. And that's why I say in the beginning, you got to really bring gear-wise the gamut of baits, because if they're throwing this, then you got to throw way out the back and drag something versus up against a rock. Deanna's been there many times, I'm sure. We're up against a rock, they're burning down the bank, and what do you do as a coach? So you really have to have an open mindset of just don't show up just to do what the pro does.
Or one thing.
Right. Just keep throwing the kitchen sink until something sticks.
Okay, Deanna, same thing. What three things?
Well, I'm going to actually narrow it down to one.
Okay, all right.
And a positive attitude. I mean, you just have to have a positive attitude going on the boat. I would say 2023, I really had a hard year. I drew a couple guys. One, I was scared on the Delta. I was in a small aluminum boat. I made it back. I was a little scared. And then the next draw, I had somebody from Havasu, and I just got scared in the boat. I was worried about the trolling motor coming back and hit me.
So it wasn't well maintained?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, just be observant around you when you're in the boat. But that year I kind of struggled, so I did take a tournament off. Kind of wish I didn't, because it was really hard seeing everybody go by and weigh in. So I did finish the season, but in 2024, I started working out. If it's my time, it's my time. And I really feel it was my positive attitude that really helped me win the Delta tournament. I was just, I'm going to go out and make friends. I'm going to learn something new. Every pro fishes different. My husband fishes a little fast sometimes, but it's nice just learning how they throw it or how they shake that worm. I do ask questions like, why are you doing that?
Okay.
I do it this way. Why do you do it this way? And you just learn a lot when you go out there. So I really feel it was the positive attitude that I had going into 24 that really helped me win the Delta, and just keep an open mind. And then referring back to what you said, don't always throw what the boater throws. If that Cinco's working or with that bait's working, who doesn't know that MM3 doesn't work on the Delta? Shorten your leader, make it longer. If your pro's throwing
heavier weight, lighter weight or something, right?
Always change up the weight. You can throw the same color, just change it up a little bit.
Okay, all right, so a little bit different deal there.
Yeah, positive.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of start wrapping it up here. What are your plans to fish next year? What's going on? What's on your schedule? There's been a lot of changes, right? MLF's not here in the West. Alan, shout out. So what's your plans for next year?
Next year, I think we're going to do some one bass opens. We're not sure where we're going to be. We might be moving out of state soon. So we may fish Gunnersville a little bit. We'll see what rolls out. I'm sure I'm going to miss Clear Lake, the Delta, and Havasu big time. So we're just not sure yet. We haven't quite figured it out.
Okay.
So going to miss MLF. Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, for sure. Kurt, what's your plans next year?
I plan on doing the BAM tour. I will be doing the WAN Bass tour.
You're going to do all 5 of the WAN Basses?
I'll be doing all 5 of the WAN Bass.
Okay.
I'm here in the Bay Area, so yeah, I do miss at MLF. That was one of my, that's probably where I did the best.
Big
actually.
hole. Yeah. Big hole this year. Big hole. Big hole.
Yeah. I may be looking for a team partner to do maybe some of the BBTs. They got a lot going on too.
Okay.
I know Randy does a good job too. So between the BAM, the WAN Bass, and probably some BBT tournaments, that's probably what I'll be doing this year.
How do the people follow you? How do they find you?
I'm on Facebook. Just look at me there. I don't really get on Instagram, but just Facebook. I post my.
Is it just Kirk Marshall on Facebook?
Just Kirk Marshall on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. Deanna, how do they find you?
I only do Facebook. Sorry. I'm too busy with work and the kids and stuff like that, and we just fish all the time, so I don't do a lot of social media.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up from here. I want to thank Deanna and Kurt. Getting a perspective from not just any two co-anglers, but two highly successful co-anglers. Your approaches are a little different, but you know what I learned today is that your mindsets are very similar as far as it pertains to how you approach that event. Hopefully the co-anglers out there, everybody learned something from Deanna and Kurt. There's still time to sign up for the BAM Shasta event. You go to bamtrail.com. They're giving you a $50 gift card. One Bass is also here in the next aisle. They have the Shasta Open the first week of February. I know I'm fishing that.
I have to work.
Okay, she's got to work, and Kurt's going to be fishing that. So there's two great options coming up on Lake Shasta here in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch you guys next time.